Marcella, a couple of things. First, you don't need to Boolean where your stand was. Excuse me. So I am going to make a copy of this, move it over, and we're going to start over. The other thing, there's a couple things. When you're extruding, I think you're only extruding surfaces, not necessarily making solids. That's why you're having like ribbons around. And then the other thing, you are not making absolute orthogonal vertical direction when you're doing contours. So all of those contours are like a couple of degrees off of kilter from the construction plane. So hopefully here real quick, I'm going to just see if I can run through this without having tested it. So just bear with me. And I'm not a real fan of voiceover. Hopefully um, you are hearing me um, and follow along. All right, so I have the solid tools. I'm also in Rhino 8. I'm really liking it. So all the tools are pretty much the same. And there are advantages, I think, of sometimes, clicking on the buttons versus just typing in commands because there are so many like different variations of commands. Anyhow, I'm in the solid tools. Um, and I am going to turn on the control points for this the solids. Actually, first I'm going to um, drag over and make a copy, right? Um, then I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to turn on the control points, okay? So solid control points, or solids have control points just like 2Ds do. Then I'm going to go to transform, move, and I'm going to move this object, all right, enter, and then I think I'm going to have to, from a point, right? From that control point over to that control point, right? All right, now good. Then I'm going to close this puppy out. Actually, I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to go back to standard and hide. I'm actually going to turn this one back on. I'm just going to delete this because we don't want it anymore. I am going to right click and unhide this, and then I am going to come over here and right click and um, I got to select it first and come over here and right click, and I am going to change the object layer. So now we have a full one of those objects. All right, so let's go back to um, the for view, right? All right, let's turn your stand on. There's your stand. So I see the bottom of your stand also is below the construction plane. I, whenever possible, do try to work above the construction plane, and I do also, whenever possible, try to have at least one coordinate that's at my origin point, my 0, 0, 0. So I'm selecting those, and I'm going to transform, and I am going to move, and I'm going to select this corner down here, right? And then because I programmed my keyboard shortcut at F1 to go to 0, 0, 0, I'm going to click F1 and it's going to boom, put me there at 0, 0, 0, right? So at least I know where that bottom corner is as a coordinate. All right, good. Now we are going to go to our front and let's do our object contour. First of all, this is what I'm talking about. See how those are kind of diagonal? That means whenever you clicked for your contour, you clicked sort of diagonally. So I don't know if you didn't have ortho turned on or if you clicked in the center here and somewhere over here and it didn't make a perpendicular line, but that is it's not hugely problematic, but that's not really what we're trying to do. We want absolutely parallel to our construction plane. All right, those are grouped, fantastic, so I'm just going to delete them. So we're going to try this again, and Actually, I want to do the stand first because the stand is the lowest thing. That's what's going to hit the bottom. So I want to do that one first. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the stand contour. And again, see that these are diagonal. Fantastic. You group them. I'm just going to delete them. So let's do the stand contour. We'll get rid of that so we don't have to see it. We don't accidentally click on something. So you can type contour or I have a curve from object toolbar, right? Which this is it right here. Or you can also go to curve from objects and contour. I actually in Rhino 7 have this toolbar visible all the time, and I have to figure out how to keep that open all the time in Rhino 8, but the toolbar, the way you organize your toolbars is a little bit different, and I haven't fiddled with it because I've only had it for a week. Anyhow, all right, so contour, yeah, that's the right layer. We're going to select this. Oh, wait a minute. Why aren't those Boolean? Those should be Boolean. So let's do that first. All right, so, what's going on here? That was weird. Okay. Are these just grouped together, or is this a polysurface? They're two extrusions. All right, so you ultimately should have, and we're going to do it right here. We are going to union these two things. And now this should be one closed polysurface, all right? So you had two extrusions. Now they are unioned together, so they are one actual solid, all right? All right, so let's continue. Let's do our contour. Contour, select object for contours. There, we've got the whole thing, right? All right, so it's going to ask us for, oh, got to press enter. We need to put in our thickness. And as we talked about yesterday, since you're going to use 0.118 thickness material times 2, because you're going to have the stand at that thickness, and then you're going to have the object at that thickness. So as I recall, that twice of that is 0.236. So we're going to put 0.23, oops, that's 36. All right, then up here it has, all right, asking for the base point. And this is where what I have been doing as just good practice, I use the origin. And because I have it programmed as a keyboard shortcut as F1, I hit my F1, and then I just drag it in the direction that I want to do the contours. And it can be anywhere past where the object ends. If I stop it short of where the object ends, it's going to stop the contour wherever I click. So we just need to go anywhere past that. Oh, I didn't take my my 0.236. All right, so 0.236, enter. All right, bam, there we are. I'm going to hit Control G, so those are grouped already. And you see how those are parallel. Okay, that's what we want. All right, so I'm going to turn those off once I select my object contour. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to turn my object on. Oops, wrong one. There we go. All right, so we are going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to hit contour. Enter base point. F1, see again, I'm at my origin point, and I'm just going to go anywhere past the object, click. It says 0.24. That's because we only have our decimal places set to 2 places, and it's just rounding. But just to be safe, I'm going to do 0.236, enter, and bam. Okay, I'm going to hit Control G. So those are grouped. All right, so now I'm going to turn off that object, right? And I'm going to turn on those contours. And you see these contours are in the same plane. So that means for extrusion, ultimately we are going to want to extrude the stand up, and we are going to want to extrude the object down. Does that make sense? You'll see it in a minute. Which that brings up something here. There's nothing in between these layers for the stand on the bottom and this top. The top, you could probably just omit that, but in the bottom, whenever you cut the laser cut, I would say you'd cut one extra level here, one extra level here. Or something we could do, as I see this right now in the contour, I could just click this. Oh, they're grouped. Darn it. Okay. I'm going to turn this off. I am going to ungroup these, right? And I'm going to click this, click this, click this, click this. All right. And then I'm going to hold down Alt and click this, and I'm going to make a copy of each one of those layers by 0.118. All right, so now down here we have layers every 0.118 inch. All right, so I'm going to turn this back on and see which ones if this one is going to go down, we don't need this layer, right? All right, let me group these again because it just makes things easier down the road when they are grouped early on. All right. These little dealies on the end of those lines or curves are kind of weird. All right, so now let's extrude. All right, so again, because I'm a button clicker, I'm going to go up to solid, extrude planar curve, and I'm going to go straight. All right. I'm going to select those, enter, and my extrusion distance is going to be 0.118. Enter. All right. You see that? Now let's look at it in perspective mode. And you see those are solids. What you were doing, and I think you were doing surface. I think you were extruding surface. So there's extrude curve straight. So and when you were typing, maybe you were just typing extrude, and instead of solid, you were extruding surface. I think that's why you were getting ribbons. That's my suspicion without seeing what you were doing. All right, so let's turn that off. Let's go back to our front view. Let's turn that off and do our object contour. Oh, shoot. I forgot to do it. I did it on the wrong layer. So I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide those. Hide our contour. Select all of these and go to here and right click and change objects layer. All right. See how that works pretty slick? All right. I'm going to turn that off. Now I'm going to turn on the object contour. Make sure this time around my current layer, and I need to make this a little bit wider too, so I click it. We're going to do the same thing. So let's see what, when I type extrude, 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 curve tapered, extrude, curve. Solid, yes. Okay, that should be right. All right. 0.118, that's right. All right, so now here's where we want to select our direction because we want to go down, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to click something here and just pull down, right? So it's oops, that wasn't right. So let's do this. Select curves to extrude, right? Uh, extrusion, just, yeah, it picked that up. Um, direction. And so I did direction first, and now I'm going to type it 0.118, and it should there it extruded down. Did you see what I'm talking about? So it does matter the order I do that if I have um, I don't not sure why it did that the first time. Anyhow, I don't know what's going on here either. Let's see what it looks like in perspective mode. All right. Maybe that's just it has to do with the way it's rendering. Um, all right. That's fine. There we go. Now let's we'll turn off our contours. We turn on our stand extrude, and there we have it. And then we can come in and we can see, all right, maybe we can see if I can get the right perspective. So I guess I don't need that one. Oops. This one, I can delete that. Yeah, can I? All right, there we go. I suppose the last thing, which should have maybe been a first thing, um, is to make this a lot simpler to put together, is to put some sort, especially because you have a column through here, is to put a hole through this. And, well, I suppose we'll just Boolean it now. For all those layers, we'll do a Boolean subtract all of the extrusions. If we did it prior to and used the whole function, we could edit it. Or even if we did a Boolean difference, rather, before we did the contours, that hole would show up in the contours, whatever shape that hole is. So in this case, let's go to our top view. Let's just say we're going to use a 1/4-inch dowel rod. And I don't know if you remember me saying that if you only use one round hole, then everything can spin as it's on a central axis it can move. So if we do two, then things cannot spin. So let me, I don't know if you remember me saying that I have certain colors that I like to use for certain things, like stuff like this, red for me. I don't know why. I have my own like system that I made up whenever. So I'm going to just do whole. Okay, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make a circle. I suppose I still do things kind of the hard way because I grew out of AutoCAD where you had everything was linear, and then I learned solid modeling from that. So I'm still not in the practice of, but let me do it. Let me stop of making solids right off the bat, primitive solids. But let me do that because it's dumb to make a hole and circle and extrude it when I can just make a 1/4-inch cylinder how I want, right? So, and this is again where I really love having that. I'm going to turn this on ghosted too. Um, my F1 as my origin point. So let's do this. Let's make a cylinder. It's going to ask me for the base of the cylinder, F1. All right, so it's going to ask me for the diameter, and the diameter is going to be 0.125. Nope, it's going to be, that's the radius. It's going to be 0.25, right? Okay, and then I'm just going to drag this puppy. Oh, come on. All the way up like that, right? Is that really? No, that's right. That was the radius that I was. Let's do this again. Do it again. You also remember when I said no demo is a bad demo? Shows the things that we all fiddle with stuff and goof around, right? So, all right, let's try it again. We are going to make a cylinder, right? All right, base point, my origin point. All right, it is asking for the radius. I saw this. All right, I'm trying to do this quickly, and 0.125, that's what I thought the first time. Enter, that looks proportionally much better. I can just drag it up. So the reason I am now in ghosted here is so hopefully I can find a spot where this is going to go through hit everything. I might need to go to X-ray. Ah, so much more difficult to see an X-ray. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to display options. Oh, and that's one thing that's great actually about Rhino 8. You don't have to open it. It's over here. You can just pop it open. So let's see, under ghosted, objects color. I haven't messed with this one in a while. You can change the opacity. So transparency, 35%. All right, so let's make transparency, let's make it like 20%. So maybe we can see. So maybe we want a higher number. So let's make it like 50%. Yeah, okay. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to locky lock. Same with this, and hopefully I'll just grab that and kind of move it this way a little bit. All right. Oh boy, my mouse is going haywire. See, I'm trying to catch it here at the bottom. Oh, I'm having a tough time here. Here's another little thing I think I mentioned to you guys. If you're starting to have troubles with the way that you're orbiting, is if you do zoom extents, that my mouse is acting weird. It could be because I'm recording this. All right, so I'm going to just move this over this way a little bit. And then this may not be perfect, but it's just for example purposes, all right? And then make a copy over here. So I have two holes, right? The problem with this method is that those holes are not going to be in your contour, if that makes sense. And the contour is the actual geometry that you will need for the laser cutter. There's a way around that, but it's the long way. So really, the best method would be to put the holes in your object and your stand prior to doing any contouring. So whether it be using the hole function, which all you need, if you're doing a round hole, all you need to do is select the target surface, um, or you can place a hole, or you can do this and do a Boolean. All right, so I'm going to lock these, and I am going to hopefully not crash things. Go to my solid tools. No, actually, I'm going to go up to my menu and go to solid difference, select service to surfaces, polysurface subtract from, and I am going to basically select everything, right? Enter, and then what I'm going to subtract with, and I'm going to select those two. I'm going to click enter, let it do its deal. All right, so now we have two holes going all the way down through this. You see that? Okay. I'm going to turn these off. I don't need to do that. We're going to turn them off. We're going to turn it off. We're going to turn our contour on. Turn our contour. Oh, I think that's because I hit it earlier. Is that why? Bam, that's why. And we're going to turn our object contour on. But you see, we have no holes there for the geometry that we need to shear and project down to the construction plane. So that's kind of maybe not the best way to do it, but rather, as shown in one of the tutorials that I posted, to put the hole in prior to. Let me just show you and everyone else who's watching. Ha! I'm going to use this as an educational opportunity for the entire class. And that is, let me turn these back on. Stand, extrude. I'm just going to see if I can do one at a time. I'm not sure if I can do a full select. Turn off my contour layers. All right. And here's another one. This is where I'm going to change my hole to blue. So blue and red are the two that I like to select edges and do for work layers and stuff like that. I really like red for edges. So let's do, I'm just going to make a new layer and call this stand face border. Yes, I'm going to have to do it one at a time. That's what is kind of a bummer, I think. So back to the curve from object, there is duplicate face border, right? So if I didn't make that red. Red, okay. So if I'm on this layer and I duplicate face border, let me change this to shaded so it's not select. And you see what it does? It will select the border and it will give me those holes. But the downside of this is it's tedious because I'm going to have to do boom. Oh, I don't want that one. This one, 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 this one. I'll do those for now just so I don't mess up somewhere along the way. Then I'll do this one. Yes, that one. Oh, come on, come on. Nope. So on and so forth. Okay. Then let me just turn this off and see there. we do have a contour with the hole in it, but they're not grouped by layer, right? So we're going to want to group them by layer. So, oh boy, I mean, when I say layer, not this layer, but by planar layer. So we want to do this and Control G, and then it's just tedious. I mean, sometimes I understand, you know, you as students might want to like, oh, do I have to go back and start over? And well, sometimes it's more streamlined or efficient to go back and do something a different way, which will ultimately save you tedious stuff like what I would have to do to complete the stand in this case, and I would have to do the same thing for the object, all of that before, well, let's see, let me just do an experiment. So let's do shear. All right. I'm going to select all of those, and with the shear, I like to start with the ortho on. I start at I got to read the command prompt. All right. Shear. It's asking for my origin point. I guess I hit 1, not F1. All right. I go somewhere beyond it, and then I turned ortho off. And I just drag it out as far as I can until it looks like they're spaced. All right, let's go to top view. Let's go back in the zoom extents. All right. Oh yeah, everything that looks good. Okay, we can do that. We don't have to group them then. All right, so that's good to know. All right, last thing, and then I'm going to close up here because this is taking a long time, and I actually am like way late for work right now. I got to finish tiling this bathroom or bathtub today. Okay, so I'm going to zoom extents over here. And then let's make one last layer, and let's say project. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm just going to make a copy here and copy objects to layer. All right. So you can see once I turn this as active layer on, I've got a copy. So if for ever any reason I want to go back and like, if I mess something up, I still have this geometry that I can use again. It's just kind of an insurance policy. All right, so I have found that when you project to construction plane, it works. It works in some of the views properly, and it doesn't in others. And I'm still trying to narrow that down as to which ones it does not work in. But I have found that it works in the perspective mode mostly. So let's just check that. So you can type project, or I would, because I'm a button clicker, go down to project to C-plane. I'll just grab them all, right? Hit enter. And you could delete them yes or no. You could delete them after the fact, or move them to a different layer, or you could project them and then move them to your project layer, however you want. Since I already copied them and I have them on this layer already, I'm going to delete them. And you see, bam, what did they do? They all moved down to my construction plane. And the last thing I would want to do now is I want to add some sort of labeling on these. So when I export as a DWG, an AutoCAD drawing format .dwg to take it to Aspire for nesting, that I put the label, and then I would group the label with this whole geometry in there. Otherwise, it's going to nest the label, this as a piece of geometry, this as a piece of geometry, and the rectangle all separately. So it will not keep these holes where they're supposed to be inside the rectangle with your label attached. So you could either group it in a spire, which is very, very cumbersome because we're not accustomed to working in a spire, or we could do it in Rhino, which by selecting and Control G, and then we can just do this and right click and blah, 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 and then it's fast and easy, right? Okay. That's it for today. I hope this is helpful, and I'll talk to you all soon. All right, bye.